Hello everybody and welcome to Aberlour Children's Charities latest Twitch stream. Sorry for the delay. We're again having technical difficulties like we had last week with Darren, but no matter, we're here and we can't get our screen to work, so we've got a lovely picture of Emma who is joining me today. Thank you so much for joining us in our latest live stream, Emma.
It's great to be here, thanks.
Brilliant. So for those of you that are new to Aberlour, we are a children's charity and we support children and their families all across Scotland. We are committed to fighting poverty and discrimination, and we know that not every child is born with an equal chance, but we'll be there to help before damage is done, before families reach crisis point, before it's too late. So today Emma is joining us to talk about her service. She's one of our service managers, and her service specifically supports mums and dads who are struggling with their mental health during pregnancy and up to their baby is 1 year old. So the service is based in East Lothian, Forth Valley, and most recently the Edinburgh Royal Infirmary, which means we can reach even more families living in the Lothians. So Emma is one of our team, I should say, as part of our live stream. So every week someone from the team will join us to talk about the work they do in their local community and let you ask any questions you have about that work. So make sure you follow our stream to keep up to date with all our team members. So Emma, the work you do around mental health and wellbeing is really interesting. Can you explain to everyone what it is that you and your team do?
So what we do is we support parents through the perinatal period, and what we do is we look to support people who are struggling with their mental health at that time, who are experiencing social isolation, and also who may be concerned about the relationship and the bond that they have with their baby, either during pregnancy or when baby's born.
Thank you, Emma. So if anyone who's watching has any questions for Emma, please send them over in the chat bar and we'll strive to answer as many as we can during our session today. So Emma, there's lots we can talk about with your service. I guess one thing I want to start off with is doing a bit of jargon busting. So when we talk about new mums, mental health, we'll talk about perinatal. Could you explain what perinatal means?
Yeah, so perinatal, broadly speaking, it means the period before a baby is born and afterwards. So for our service, what perinatal period means is during pregnancy and up until baby's first birthday, and that is the period of time that we support parents.
Wonderful. So if anybody now hears the words perinatal or comes into Aberlour and hears talking about perinatal, you now know what it is. Thank you, Emma. So can you give examples of the type of support that you would provide to mums and dads and their babies?
Yeah, so we connect with people during their pregnancy. So people are referred into our service. It could be in pregnancy, it could be after the baby's born. And when people are referred in, it's very much around our perinatal coordinators, who are really essential part of our team to build relationships with parents who are referred in. So that's getting to know them, getting to know a little bit about their story, thinking about the kind of support they would like from their befriender. And it's very much about making sure that parents realise that for our service, they're in the driving seat. They have control and choice over the kind of person that they would like to be matched to as a befriender when they receive the befriending support, and what they want to do with their befriender when they're receiving the support.
Perfect. So can you give an example or share a story of a family that we've helped recently to help people understand where someone would be in their life when your team step in to help?
Sure. So we've recently been working with a family where the family moved to a different area during COVID because they needed to relocate because part that dad had lost his job. So they moved into an area where they didn't know anybody at all, and they both felt very isolated, expecting a new baby, and clearly the same opportunities for going out and connecting with antenatal groups, new parent groups really weren't there. So that isolation really began to impact on their anxiety, and really affected their mental health. So the mum was matched with one of our befrienders, and one of the things that she said was she just found going outside, to be really heightened her anxiety, and she found that very stressful. So our befriender started visiting every week, meeting up to really be alongside her, to get out and about, to take the baby for a walk. And this lady also wanted to increase her confidence of driving in a new area. So what the befriender and the mum are doing is they're meeting up at a park, so they're getting further afield. So to start off with, they went to a park, but it was just a 5-minute drive away. So that again was just helping, that this new mum to get her confidence back with driving as well, because she really wanted to access different places and have that really nice time with her baby.
Yeah. Now, we've mentioned befrienders quite a few times already
Mm-hmm.
in our short time chatting. Now, I know how important volunteers are to your service. So could you um, could you tell us about what volunteers do, how they get involved with the service, and show
Sure.
how important they are to us?
Yeah. So basically, I mean, I would say that our volunteer perinatal befrienders, they really are the heartbeat of our service. If we didn't have our befrienders, we wouldn't be able to deliver what we do. So our befrienders are people who come from all ages. Anybody who's aged 18 upwards can apply to be a perinatal befriender. You don't have to be a parent yourself or have had children. Some people have. Some people come forward because they want to give something back. Other people have had their own experience through the perinatal period and have found it difficult and want to help someone else. So when people express an interest in befriending with us, we have a conversation around the role, around what it involves. There's a quite an intensive training. It's a 7-week training that covers perinatal illness, it covers domestic abuse, brain development and attachment, also child protection. And I think the real core of the role of our perinatal befrienders is listening. Now, when people come along, sometimes we all think we're good listeners, but actually emotional listening is a real skill, and our befrienders are supported to develop that skill as they come through their learning journey. And it's so important because when befrienders successfully are recruited and they're matched with one of the women in our service, what our service is about, it's about giving parents the space to really talk about how they're feeling. They're not there to give advice, to give any judgments, to give an opinion or make comment. It's purely about being there alongside parents to give them that space to really talk about what they're feeling. And that can be very difficult if you might not want to talk to your nearest and dearest about that, or your friends, your family, for a range of reasons. And people will say it's just really nice to know that I can just talk about how I'm really feeling. And we know from enabling that space for parents to talk about how they're feeling empowers them to come up with their own solutions and their own strategies as to how they might overcome those feelings, or practical things they can do. So that's really at the core of the befriender's role.
Wonderful. Now, are we currently recruiting some volunteer befrienders?
We are. We're recruiting in both services in Forth Valley and in East Lothian. So if anybody is listening and would like to find out more, or if you think you may have a friend or a family member who would be keen to get involved, people can come onto the Aberlour homepage, and there's a button that says get involved and volunteer, and you can find out more about the role and you can make an inquiry. And we're always very happy to have those initial discussions, just to really talk in more detail with anyone who's interested.
Brilliant. Now, there's a few people who have joined the call, the stream recently. So just to let you know, there's nothing wrong with your screen. It's we have been having technical issues, so you do just have a lovely still picture of Emma while we're chatting. So hopefully, when we're back with you next week, we can get that that sorted. Um, so going back to the families that we support, what surprises you the most about the mums and dads that we help?
I suppose quite often when people come into our service, their confidence and self-esteem can be quite low, and sometimes people think they're actually not very good at parenting. I haven't got this. I can't do anything right. And actually, when people begin to talk about their feelings and build that relationship with the coordinator and the befriender, we very quickly see and realize, their parenting strengths, first and foremost in coming forward and asking for help, because that's actually a really difficult thing to do and it's hugely positive. And generally people are doing some amazing things with their baby and during their pregnancy that they don't always realize. So that sometimes can surprise us, and it's really nice when during the befriending relationship the befriender is able to reflect some of that. If somebody feels that they're not particularly doing a adjusting to parenting very well, our befrienders are really well placed to reflect those positives and really have that strengths based lens. And we know how impactful that can be for new parents.
Um, so we've said already that the service is only based currently in East Lothian, Forth Valley, and in Edinburgh Royal Infirmary. Is there any plans to extend the reach of the service?
Always got plans, Corin. We want to extend the service as far as it can go, really across the country. And we recognise that perinatal mental health, it can affect anybody, irrespective of your circumstances and where you're living. And we do know that currently across Scotland there is not enough provision, and it's a bit of a postcode lottery for parents as well as to the support that they receive. So as an organisation, we are always looking to try and expand and develop, and have a conversation. And ultimately, it does come down to funding and resources to make that happen. But yeah, we're on the case.
Yeah, super exciting to see that, especially in Aberlour when you know there's a need and you're always striving to make sure that you fill that need.
Yes.
Um, Talking about the need, then, what would you, and we know, as I said before, this service is a lifeline for many of the
Mhm.
families I've interviewed. A lot of the women that the service has supported, and that's what they say a lot. What do you wish that the Scottish Government would do
I
to help?
suppose it's just to really recognise that need and to really make sure that in all of the local authorities across the country that parents who are experiencing perinatal mental health issues can access services. And it's about accessing a service at that right time, at the point at which you really need it. So I guess that's really the biggest ask. I mean, Scottish Government do have their maternal pledge and they do have all the recommendations, and there's been a lot of really positive work that's been happening over the past few years. I guess we need more of it, and we do need more resources to try and reach as many parents as we can.
So, talking about yourself, Emma, what got you into your role with Aberlour? What gave you the push to focus on perinatal mental health?
So I guess when I applied for the job, I saw the job, and for me, my background is in social work, midwifery, volunteering-led services. So for me, when I looked at the job description, it felt like it was all of the best bits of my previous parts of my career all rolled into one, and to be able to really be alongside families and be part of a family's perinatal journey as they're supported by the service. It's a real privilege every day to do that.
And could you pull out one of your proudest moments while you've been in your role?
I suppose it's just there's always something probably every week that can make us proud. That might be, meeting a parent who has perhaps, come out of the house for the first time in a few months. It's maybe come along to one of our caring cafes, and, they may be saying, I feel really terrible, but I've made it out the door and I'm here and I'm really proud of myself. It could be seeing our perinatal befrienders coming through their learning journey, and seeing them really grow in their experience to give emotional listening support. And I suppose it's just really seeing that real strength of commitment from Aberlour, and also from the team, to just just really going above and beyond every day. So it all makes me really proud, to be honest.
Lovely. And what do you wish people knew more about like perinatal mental health, like examples of what mums and dads could be feeling and how can they help?
I think that's a really good question, Corin. I think you know the whole perinatal period. It's a time, it can be filled with excitement. It can be filled with joy. It can also be filled with a lot of challenges, and the expectation from society that this is going to be the best time in your life, pregnancy, parenthood, and quite often it isn't. And there's a real stigma around that, around how do you express if you're not feeling that way, when society determines you perhaps should be feeling a certain way. So I guess it's a recognition that perinatal mental health, it doesn't discriminate. There are factors that indeed do make you maybe more prone to developing issues with your perinatal mental health, but it can happen to anyone, to mums and also to dads. And I guess it's really about remembering that it's so important to ask people, how are you? And really be prepared for people to be able to have that feeling of who they are. Quite often as a new parent, the expectation is for you to be able to do it all. Have the house done, the baby looked after, and feel like you're on it, when most of the time people aren't. So I think giving people that space to really talk about how they are feeling is really important. And I think just being there and available if people do want to talk to you, and creating those opportunities, is really essential. And alongside that, it's really essential if anybody knows of somebody who is they feel is really struggling with their perinatal mental health, or are themselves, that there is a lot of help out there. And actually, once you've made that step of coming forward and asking for help, it's such a positive step, because there are a lot of doors that can open for you from doing that.
Great, thank you, Emma. Now we've had our first question through. It's from Radar125, and they're asking, so many mothers feel on their own. Kudos to your service. Do you think they benefit more from working with other mums?
That's another good question. I think it's a very, very individual decision. For some women that come forward for support from us, being around other parents at that point in their life would actually be quite difficult. It could be quite anxiety provoking, but we do know that for some women, having that peer support is really, really important. So we do offer our caring cafes every 2 weeks. So if parents do want to come along and connect with other people that have the choice, I think it's about having a range of types of support that you can choose from, because mental health can fluctuate day to day, hour to hour, and it's about being able to decide what's a good fit for you at that point in time.
Great, thank you, Emma. Now, I think that's us for running out of time, so we're going to have to wrap up for the day, which is a shame because we're such an interesting conversation. So we'll definitely get you back on, and we can talk more about this subject, because again, it's something that can affect anyone at any time. So the more you know about it, I think the better. You can feel more confident, and it's like that reaching out for help and know where to get the help if you need it. So if you've enjoyed this session with Emma, as said, please follow our channel, keep up to date with our streams. We'll get Emma back on. But our next session will be taking place during Challenge Poverty Week, which is next week. So on the 4th of October at 3:30, we'll be joined by our CEO, Sally Ann Kelly, and our Head of Policy and Participation, Martin Canavan, to discuss poverty and what that looks like in Scotland today, and what we are doing to help and what needs to be done. So I look forward to seeing you all there. Goodbye.
Bye.